I want to introduce Paul and Sherry Barrett. They're longtime members of the club. They've done some great trips. They want to talk about sea kayaking around Kefalonia in the Ionian Sea, west of mainland Greece. So this will be something talking about international travel, kayak rentals, what gear you may need to take, and should be some beautiful pictures if I know Sherry. She's a great river photographer. So at this point, please mute yourself if you're not speaking. You're welcome to communicate in the chat, and people can monitor that as well for any comments or questions. But let's turn it over to Paul and Sherry Barrett and watch this great presentation. Thank you.
All right. This is a slideshow not necessarily for people who are adrenaline junkies. This is a trip that we took in 2018, and it's like this, what you'd expect going to the Mediterranean. So what I want to first talk about is the Mediterranean, get people knowledgeable back to their geography. Mediterranean Sea. Can you guys see my pointer when I do that? A key thing of the Mediterranean is over here on the left below Spain and Morocco is the Strait of Gibraltar. And the thing that's interesting about that is see how very narrow it is, which results in the Mediterranean having almost no tide. It's inches of tide, that's all, because it's such a huge body of water. And if there's any tide at all, it simply can't move anywhere because of that very small opening at the Strait of Gibraltar.
But you could probably surf the Strait of Gibraltar.
Yeah, I bet that would be a crazy thing to boat through. So anyway, you can see Greece there. The other thing is you've heard about these different seas, the Aegean Sea. We were in the Ionian Sea. You go to the Tyrrhenian Sea to the left. So if you look at Greece, you can see this, there's 3 islands there to the left. The middle one is Kefalonia. And the one just to its right, that little sliver, is Ithaca.
Not New York.
And we're going to go look at, this is even a little bit closer. You can see, you'll also notice here on this one to the left of Greece, you see the word Cephalonia, which is the same thing as Kefalonia and Kefalonia. And it's just the difference with the Greek alphabet going to our alphabet. It's spelled in many, many different ways. So if also we're going to talk in the end of the thing, just shortly about Santorini. And Santorini is in the Aegean Sea. It's kind of down there above the Cyclades. So here is Kefalonia, Kefalonia spelled here. And you'll see over on the left-hand side of it, dotted line going up and around to the north of Kefalonia. We do a crossing there at the top over to Ithaca, the island on the right, and you go around onto the right side of Ithaca and go around and then do a crossing back over to Kefalonia. And so that was our route. It was the trip was 9 days, 7 days of paddling, including 1 day, well, plus 1 day of arrival and departure, when we did 57 miles. And again, here's Kefalonia Island, Greek alphabet, kind of impossible to figure out what it would be otherwise. Kefalonia. And we went with a company called Sea Kayaking Kefalonia. And their rates, just if you're wondering, came out to about $15.37 in today's cost, euros. I just looked it up on their website. And that included breakfast, lunch, room at the inns, a guide, kayak, and all the equipment you needed.
Dinner.
No, and then we paid our separately for dinner, so that was not included. This is the motley crew that we went with, kind of from different parts of the U.S. We had a series of different boats, kayaks, both tandem and singles. And we traded off a lot too. You know, for those of you who have done open water crossings, tandems, you go a lot faster and they're a lot easier with two people paddling. But sometimes they're also called divorce boats, and doing a single is better. So it was good to switch around. I'm going to have a series of slides here just to kind of show you the visuals that we had, just paddling around these different areas. This area had a lot of different caves that we were able to go into. And that was cool. We had some excellent times just exploring these caves. And like I said, different areas. But just really beautiful country. Paul. Lots of big, beautiful cliffs. This was our guide, Yvette. She also had that cool Icelandic paddle, which I tried. It's different. I never completely got the handle of it, but I know people who do use them a lot really swear by them.
You have to have a higher stroke rate than with a bladed paddle.
And she had skills. She could use her kayak like an SUP. She was quite competent. Very good guide. This is one of our open water crossings. We did not have bad weather, so we didn't have big seas. But as everybody knows, an open water paddle just does take some strength going across. Not too bad. The big things that we had to watch out for were first ferries. The ferries went to the different islands, and they're enormous. And one, they can't see kayaks. And two, even if they could see you, they can't avoid you or stop. So if you get in the way, you're going to be run over.
It was in the fall.
Oh, September. Somebody asked what time. We went in September. And the weather, like I said, I don't think we had any bad days at all. It was just kind of perfect weather.
We had a Medicaid on Pantry.
The other big boats out there were the overly consumptive yachts.
Mega yachts.
Mega yachts.
Probably owned by Russians.
These are the oligarchs, probably. Interesting thing on these were that they're totally staffed, and the rich people just kind of fly into them when they feel like it. And the big thing was to have your own helicopter and on the deck. Some of them, turns out, just had fake helicopters to look good. And then there were some old boats, which we liked better. And then we also found out that a whole lot of people in the Mediterranean sail nude. So that was another interesting concept. The other thing is that, Italian cypress are actually native there. So while I think they kind of look weird in the desert, those tall pointy ones are Italian cypress. They're native there. They belong. More cool caves. Some wildlife. The Mediterranean, though, the water itself is not overly biodiverse. And it's possibly, again, because of that Strait of Gibraltar, but I don't know for sure. But we did see some loggerhead sea turtles. Those were cool. The water's incredibly clear. We got to go by some old buildings, some archaeological ruins, etc. And then we would stop every day for lunch on these beautiful beaches, just kind of chill out for a while. And because they're Greek, we had these incredible Mediterranean lunches with fresh fruit and vegetables, cheese, fresh bread, olives. It was scrumptious, hummus, everything you can think of that you might want, and some beer. And then some naps.
That's an Adobe Whitewater Club shirt I'm wearing.
Like I said, the water was incredibly clear, crystal clear, really. And so then out we'd go snorkel after lunch, and this kind of chill, kind of looks stress-free right now. And then back on the water and going through some more cool rocks and everything. Lots of white sand beaches.
Water temps.
Water temps. Well, boy, I would put it probably in the high 70s, low 80s. Definitely comfortable to just jump into after lunch.
Yeah, and on land, I'll say the wildlife was pretty sparse because the damn island is overrun with cats and goats.
Well, and as is a lot of European areas, the native, it's not as native as it used to be.
Get to the villages.
So then we would arrive each day in a different village, and these aren't necessarily in order, but kind of to give you a flavor for they're very, very cute little villages that we would come into for the night. And we would just park our boats on the beach, leave them there overnight. And you can see some of the yachts there in the background and other boats. We just pulled up right with them. Lots of outdoor eating in these areas. We didn't camp at all, as Paul's just whispering. We just stayed in these villages. And they, like I said, they were very picturesque. Some shopping, little markets and stuff, little places, lots of bougainvillea.
Because we didn't have to camp during the day, all we had to carry was water, food, and maybe some, raincoat or something, but we never had to use them.
The little places that we stayed, the little inns, they were also cute. And they had these incredible views that we got from our rooms. This is just some more views from the rooms. There'd also be cute little pathways, hiking paths in the evenings to get up above and into the hills. Like I said, incredibly picturesque little villas and the sea. We would eat dinner each night down outside by the water. And as Paul said, Greece has a lot of cats. So there's cats, lots of cats everywhere in Greece. Pack up the next morning, head back out, hit the rocks, incredibly cool landforms. And that was the end of the sea kayaking part of our trip. But then you have to see just a little bit more because if you go to Greece, you have to go to Athens, see the Acropolis.
It's bad lips.
Yeah. And then we took a train up north, and this is another cool part. So we did this.
That's sorority knees.
Oh yeah, Paul, that's sorority knees. We went to this place called Meteora, and so look closely near the bottom, right above the tree line. You'll see some weird looking stuff in there. So these are Orthodox Christian hermit monkeries, monasteries. These were from about the 10th century to the 12th century. That's when they were mostly used. After the 12th century, they started kind of organizing and getting more modern with their structures, but it's incredible what they built in these cliffs up there. This is not one of the monasteries, but it was kind of different. But these monasteries are just like, actually they are totally inaccessible to some of the older ones. They would, the locals help these monks survive, and they would pull food and supplies up to them via ropes and such. And people, yeah, that's how they got up. You know, some people around, there's some good rock climbing around here if you were interested in that. We did not rock climb, we hiked. But to get into some of these monasteries, because we were dirtbag kayakers, you had to have a skirt on if you were a woman. And so they lent us skirts that you had to wear to get inside. So that's us with skirts on top of dirtbag kayaker clothes. Like I said, beautiful area. This was made popular, this area, in the James Bond movie.
And it's also in the latest movie, The King's Man. They have a big fight in one of these.
This is one of the other ways they get back and forth amongst these different things. There's other things to see in Greece. You got to go see all the other places. And then Paul and I went to Santorini, which you also, this is a coastline that does have day trips for kayaks, but we did not do it. We didn't have time, but they don't have multi-day trips around Santorini as far as we could tell. But it is a beautiful spot, more big yachts and ferries, and Santorini's that place with all the cool white buildings. This is at night in the evening.
Sherry, just a couple pictures back, it looked like there was snow on that ridge line.
No, that's it's either the chalky, that I think is actually Santorini. I think that's the main, those are all white buildings, I think.
On the very top.
Yeah, the very top. Yeah, no snow here. Maybe some chalky cliffs there.
Oh, no, that's the other village we hiked up to.
Yeah, this is probably what you were seeing, is these buildings here.
Any whales, dolphins?
We did not see, I think it was, not that I recall. And so that's the end of our Greece trip. Like I said, kind of this Meteora in other parts of Greece, kind of like Hobbitville. So it's a cool area. It's a great way to see Greece, get some exercise, you know, by both kayaking first and then hiking second. And plus you get to throw in all the cool cultural artifacts there as well. So highly recommend it. That's all. Any questions?
So Sherry, this is Scott. I got to ask, will you go back, or what's your next big trip plan? What would you compare this to?
Well, we had another trip planned to Croatia.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened.
Yeah, so we keep putting it off.
We keep putting it off, and then Putin invaded Ukraine. So yeah, we're hoping to do another one on the Aegean Sea, but it's a little tough now because of COVID. But we're still hoping to get there.
Great food, wine in Greece too.
Yeah, and it was pretty inexpensive to eat good or well.
Yeah, and like in Italy, if anybody's been there, they just put a pitcher of wine on your table for like, you know, $5, and it's great wine. So
the inns were included in the cost of the guide service.
Yeah, so that was part of the $1,500 per person.
How about airfare? What was the cost of airfare to get there?
I don't remember, and that changes so often. It wasn't overly expensive. This was, again, pre-COVID. I don't know whether it's more expensive or less now. Last I was looking at going to Europe, it wasn't too bad, but I'd be guessing if I say anything.
But you were also saying, reminding me that the Greece economy was not doing well when we were there. So
it's still not doing well.
Yeah. So the dollar was doing well over there at that time. It probably still is. Very friendly people. And all the people in the villages were extremely friendly as well and helpful. Any other questions?
How many miles a day?
Oh, we were doing about 8 to 10 miles a day.
Yeah. We had plenty of time to make our time and then get back and start drinking.
Mm-hmm. We got back in daylight each time. And like I said, this was not the hardcore You know, we've done Baja, and which was much more strenuous, you know, with winds and stuff, and bigger crossings too, bigger seas. This was a nice kind of relaxing kayak trip.
And yeah, as I said, I put the trip together, so I filled it with my friends and even some relatives. So we knew everyone on the trip.
All right, Scott, looks like it's back at you.
So I think there's one more question. I don't know, maybe I missed it. Were the inns part of the cost, or were they separate?
They were part of the cost. Yeah, so everything in your day except for dinner was part of that cost. And dinners, I think, came out to be about $20 a person a night. So that was pretty good, with lots of Greek food, moussaka and kebabs and Greek wine. So.
Yeah, cheap wine was very good over there.
Yeah, and Mediterranean food is, you know, just fabulous in the summer times, especially. So yeah, somebody said it's a great deal. I thought it actually was a great deal compared to a lot of trips. And the company was very good to work with. So we brought over luggage, and we just left luggage. Some of it we left at their main office where we first got there. We flew from Athens down to that island to start, and then, as Paul said, we would. They actually moved our clothing and our smaller bag to each different inn, so we didn't have to even carry that. It's kind of nice luxury. So we could practice rolling our sea kayaks at lunch, not worry about getting everything wet.
So Sherry, is there anything that you would change or do differently next time?
I don't think so.
Not really. Trip, yeah. We went in September. Someone asked that, and that's sort of after the peak of their season. And I think that's a good time. The Mediterranean's been heating up all summer. Water was good. The air temperature was great. The only problem we had is when we went to Santorini, and this is after we left everyone else, they have what they call a metacane, which is a hurricane in the Mediterranean. And but they actually stopped all this. To get to Santorini, you take a ferry or you fly. And the ferry, I forget how long it takes, 4 or 5 hours, but they stopped the ferry for several days. And we, I think, got the last plane out. And actually the ride wasn't too bad. Once I go back to Athens, it was fine. I mean, we didn't have any trouble getting out of the country. But I don't know if we're lucky, but I would, if I was going to do it again, I'd try and go back the same time of year.
The other thing is you have to be careful traveling in Europe in August, because a lot of people in August take vacation. So a lot of places close down. It's like the vacation month for Europe. So, and plus all the Americans go over because the kids are out of school. So that's the other benefit of September, if you can do that, is to get it's a shoulder, and it seems worked out pretty well as a shoulder season. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Paul and Sherry. That was very interesting. I don't know how many of us will actually get over to Greece. If you're not in the military, it's kind of expensive to get overseas sometimes, but yeah, that was an enjoyable presentation. Beautiful coastline, beautiful rocks and features to look at while you're paddling along the shoreline too.
And great photos. Thank you. Yeah, those were cool.
Thanks.